Today's topic is what smartwatch should you use in 2024? Now, a lot of this data, we have to thank the Quantified Scientist. He's basically done all the legwork behind the scenes. So I do recommend checking out his YouTube channel because he does do fantastic analysis. So we will reveal what smartwatch you should be using in 2024, but we'll start sort of like, why is it, we're talking about this, why is it important that you pick the right watch in terms of like training? Obviously, you know, we've gone from basic step counters. The landscape of tracking has changed vastly over the past 10 years, maybe even less than that, actually. You know, you can analyze your sleep, your heart rate variability, everything, as well as your steps, as well as your heart rate. There's so much data out there. But if you're training, if you're doing, again, zone 2, it's become really popular, hasn't it, James? Over the last year or so, we've been banging on about zone 2 for years, but now it's in the mainstream. If your heart rate monitor, if your smartwatch isn't accurate, you might not be getting the results that you are intending to. James, you are a smartwatch user. What do you use? And what's your experience?
I use the Apple Watch Ultra. And yes, I'll admit it, I'm a bit of an Apple fanboy. And it dates back all the way to when I was doing my computer science masters, and I lost all my work on my Windows computer, and I vowed never to use Windows ever again. So I've been using Apple ever since. I just like the whole ecosystem. So I'm going to caveat this. But the reason I've got Apple is A, because I like the ecosystem, I use the Apple ecosystem. But B, I was waiting for the Apple Watch Ultra version 1 to come out, because I was waiting for something that had a bit more battery life, that was a bit more useful for me. And when it came out, I waited for the, the review by the Quantified Scientist to say what did he think of it. And he came across, compared to all the other smartwatches, it was the most accurate across the board. That's what he said in terms of heart rate tracking, in terms of sleep tracking. Other ones that are comparable were the Whoop band. However, I've never been drawn to the Whoop band, only because it doesn't have all the functions I need it. For example, taking calls, listening to music, paying for stuff. That's the big thing, actually. I pay a lot of stuff with my watch these days. So it didn't have all this data, this information that I needed to go about my day-to-day life. So the Apple Watch Ultra is my go-to thing, only because it makes the most sense. And I don't want multiple devices at any one time. I've always stayed away from the Garmin stuff because I found that the heart rate tracking back in the early days wasn't as accurate. And that's what it seems to be a case in terms of what he's saying now.
True. I have a Garmin. It isn't that accurate.
Well, it's true, but it's important now because, like you said, it's so important to have accurate data to make better, more informed decisions. And particularly with us, we use a lot of heart rate training and heart rate training in terms of resting protocols. That's really important to us. So if we don't know your heart rate, we can't give you the best tools and training plans that we're doing with it. So it needs to be accurate. It really has to be accurate, and you can't make if you don't know the data, you're just guessing. So that's the key bit here.
Exactly. So we train a lot of runners, cyclists, and stuff like that, and having accurate heart rate data is so important because, you know, we might, as I say, ask them to train in zone 2 or ask them to train some high intensity intervals in zone 4 or zone 5. If their watch isn't tracking their heart rate accurately, then you aren't going to be getting the metabolic adaptations that you want. So that is why it is so important. So we already revealed the result. It is the Apple Watch Ultra. That's what he found. But as you said, it's not just in terms of, you know, when you're doing intervals. We use heart rate for rest periods, as you say, James. So again, if it's not tracking accurately, then your rest periods aren't going to be correct. You might be resting too little, too long. And again, you're not necessarily going to get the best results from your training. That's why it's so important.
I say it becomes more than just training, because what I use with now, again, let's use the Whoop as an example. It has data about your recovery score. You know, there's other things that do the same thing too, but I'm just saying that as an example. But I use the Apple Watch Ultra and I pair it with Athletic. That's the app I use to give me all the data here now. Now, end of last week, my recovery score had dropped down. And also it noticed my temperature, my wrist temperature had gone up. And that usually is a sign that I'm getting ill. Lo and behold, what happened on Saturday just gone, I tested positive for COVID again. That was the big thing here now. So almost preempt when you're going to get sick as well. So you're using this data, this accurate data, to make better decisions. Go, something's not quite right. Listen to your body, listen to the data around you, and it helps massively. So it's beyond just heart rate tracking. It's respiratory rate. It's your recovery rate. It's using your sleep to help make better decisions too, knowing how much you're sleeping and when, because that was the biggest eye opener for me, is when I started tracking my sleep and I realized I wasn't getting as much as I wanted. And that was the key to it. So yeah, I'm an Apple fanboy, so I will say I like the Apple Watch Ultra. Maybe it's too big for most. Then you got the Apple Series Watch 9, I think it is, or 10, I can't remember which one's out now. But again, you need an item that you need for your day-to-day life as well. So I just find that most beneficial.
Yeah, I think he said that the Whoop band was pretty good as well. If you're going to go for an alternative, Whoop is a good alternative. Obviously, that is a subscription-based model, so you got to factor that in as well. But Whoop is a good alternative. If you do want to get more accurate data, then, and you have got something like me, like a Garmin or something like that, if you pair it with a Polar chest strap, in terms of chest straps, Polar are definitely the best, then instantly that's going to give you much more accurate data. One of our clients used to, or does try and use a chest strap, doesn't he? But sort of like, it's falling apart. He needs to get a new one. It's all over the place.
It's falling apart. Yeah, Charlie, shout out to Charlie who's doing this. Like it's constantly, he always like curses every time it doesn't work. I was like, man, you need to change it. Get rid of it. He's using Android. The rest of his family use iPhone, but he uses Android. So I keep saying, man, come to the dark side. You want to come over here.
But it's funny actually, thinking now when I get feedback from clients when they're training and stuff, the number of times I get clients saying, "Oh, my heart rate monitor cut out, or it didn't track this, or it stopped halfway through," and it's like, I'm like, okay, well, we can't do anything about it, but that just shows you, doesn't it? It happens all the time. So if you really want to know your data, get yourself an Apple Watch Ultra. By the way, we are not affiliated with Apple at all. That's just what the data says.
Exactly. So there you go. That's our choice. That's our recommendation for all our clients. For anybody out there thinking what watch they need to use, again, being a massive tech geek, I do look into this, but I also look at the practicality side of these things too. So for me, using the Apple ecosystem, using something that works, they all recommend, and scientists specialize in this all recommend and say the same thing. It is the most accurate, it's the most practical. That's what I use, and I can't see me changing anytime soon, to be honest with you.
Exactly. And hey, it's coming up to Christmas, so why not get yourself one, or ask Father Christmas to deliver it to you. He's very nice like that. That is it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. And if you want to find out more about our system of training, go to strengthmatters.com/system.